What would be the benefit to the consumers, to the fighters, to the product, to the sport, and then, frankly, to the larger effort to convince Russians to do what exactly? I'm not entirely sure.
The UFC is about to host one of the most iconic events in the history of combat sports on the upcoming June 26, 2026. But unfortunately, what if I told you that some of the best fighters across the globe aren't even allowed to appear and compete? Why are the champions like Petr Yan suddenly forced to stop competing in the upcoming fight? The champions like Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev are also ruled out. How this one-in-a-lifetime event suddenly turned into one of the most controversial events in the history of UFC.
At what point, what are you asking for here other than the misery of unaffiliated people with the acting government who are just trying to live their lives?
With legends like McGregor and Jon Jones circling for a spot and millions of dollars being spent to make this event unforgettable, the real question is, who actually gets to even fight when history is on the line? Without wasting the time, let's jump into the video. The MMA fans are currently waiting for the date that is now officially part of the UFC's upcoming calendar. On June 14, 2026, the promotion set up a crazy event on the South Lawn, marking a rare meetup where professional sports and national landmarks will gather.
Let's leave the Russian fighters alone and let's allow them, at least for the time being, to earn a wage as best they can. That's all any of us are trying to do.
This specific date was selected to coincide with a big birthday celebration and the 250th anniversary of the country, ensuring the environment will be unlike any other pay-per-view fight in history. While there was initially some uncertainty about whether such a high-profile and sophisticated venue could actually host a cage fight, the event is now confirmed that has the entire industry buzzing. The event is being held at a very high-profile location. The planning involved the coordination of each member of the team to execute the meetup in a very concise way. The event is not just an ordinary fight between two fighters, but a cultural event to showcase the sport on one of the biggest stages of MMA. Hence, every fighter wills to be the part of this stage. While for some, this event could be opportunity for some writers to retire and end their professional career. Despite the standard of the venue, the major developmental team has made rules regarding who can actually compete in the lawn.
There will be no Russians at the UFC White House event. This quote comes from Merab. He says, "The UFC told me I'm next for the belt. They said there will be a trilogy between me and Yan. They also told me that our fight will not happen at the White House in June because Yan is Russian and that's impossible."
The former UFC champion tweeted on Twitter stating that some athletes will not be allowed to compete due to their nationality. According to these claims, it states that the promotion has made restrictions against the fighter of Russian nationality to appear at the lawn in this so-called prestigious event. This news was a shock for the MMA community, as these restrictions inhibited some of the BMFs from appearing in the biggest show ever conceived. This restriction is reportedly tied to the specific requirements of the venue and the nature of the event. While the promotion typically prides itself on bringing together the best fighters from every corner of the globe, this unique location has introduced new variables that affect matchmaking. Dvalishvili mentioned that during his negotiations for an upcoming title fight, it was made clear that his next appearance could not take place at the June event if his opponent fell under these specific nationality restrictions.
So I don't know what kind of geopolitical things are going on behind the scenes, but to me it sounds like Dana White has been told we don't want Russians fighting at the White House. Now, at first glance, this is a missed opportunity because the UFC is full of amazing Russian fighters. That means we won't get fighters like Islam Makhachev or Petr Yan, two of our champions, on the card. And the UFC also said there will be 7 champions on the card, so you're already eliminating 2. The math isn't really working out, but that's another point.
This news has changed the trajectory of several weight classes as the promotion looks to build a card that fits within these new parameters. The biggest impact of these restrictions was on the current bantamweight king Petr Yan, who recently defended the 135-pound title at UFC 323, was expected in a trilogy of high stakes which will serve as a centerpiece for the June card. However, Dvalishvili exposed the promotion team that they have strictly avoided the Petr Yan to fight at this location, and stating the location as impossible for Yan to fight because he is the champion from Russia. This development means that one of the most awaited matches in UFC history will have to find a different spot, away from the historic lawn. The exclusion of Yan is a significant blow to the event's competitive depth, as he is widely regarded as one of the most skilled fighters on the planet. Fans were eager to see the trilogy settled on such a massive stage, but the venue's specific entry requirements have overruled the sporting merit of the matchup. This situation highlights the unique challenges of hosting an event at a national landmark.
I have seen some chatter suggesting that fight promoters in the US, UK, EU, perhaps some of the other nations that have joined, New Zealand, Australia, some others as well, that these nations should ban Russian fighters from competing on their soil, be them boxers or MMA fighters. And I gotta tell you, I find it to be a really bad idea.
Where standard promotional goals must sometimes take a backseat to location-based regulations. Consequently, Yan will have to defend his newly won title at a different venue, leaving a major vacancy at the top of the June fight card. The restrictions are not only for the stars of the bantamweight division, but also for the pound-for-pound stars like Islam and Khamzat. Islam Makhachev, the dominant and skilled fighter who recently secured welterweight title while fighting against Jack Della Mandela, is another athlete who is missing from the list of fighters who would be available at the event. Additionally, Khamzat, the fighter who never lost in the UFC, has also said to be sidelined due to the same reasons, removing two of the most dangerous fighters from the UFC night. For many MMA geeks, the absence of these fighters could be disappointing, as they are Mount Rushmore of the MMA world. The removal of these stars creates a ripple effect throughout the promotion's championship rankings. Without Makhachev and Chimaev, the all-title vision for the card becomes much harder to achieve, as these individuals hold the keys to some of the most exciting matchups in the sport.
But this will be okay as long as we still get a ton of banger fights on the card. If the UFC truly delivers and gives us fighters like Diego Lopez, like Yuri Prochazka, like all of our favorite entertaining fighters, it will be okay. But at the same time, it is weird that they're telling Merab, oh, Petr Yan's Russian, so he can't fight at the White House.
This creates a vacuum that the promotion must fill with other high-profile names who do not fall under the current restrictions. While the event will still feature elite talent, the absence of these specific champions marks a rare moment where a major card is defined as much by who is missing as by who is fighting. Despite the roster setbacks, the leadership at the UFC remains committed to making this the most impressive show in the company's history. Dana White has reportedly been involved in extensive meetings at the venue to coordinate the massive undertaking required for such a unique broadcast. He has publicly promised that the June 14th event will surpass all previous production standards, offering fans a spectacle that has never been seen before in combat sports. The goal is to create a legacy event that will be remembered for decades as the pinnacle of the sport's mainstream growth. The official process of building the card is set to begin in earnest very soon, following the conclusion of UFC 324. Matchmakers will have to be creative to ensure the lineup remains a blockbuster despite the loss of certain key athletes. The promotion is looking to leverage its deepest roster of superstars to fill the gaps, focusing on names that carry massive drawing power in the Western market. While the restrictions have added a layer of difficulty to the planning process, the ambition for the event remains at an all-time high.
So I don't know, Dana White's probably been told this is something that won't be allowed, but let me know what you guys think below, because apparently we're not getting any Russians on the White House card.
With the promotion viewing it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The financial investment required to host a professional fight card on the South Lawn is reportedly astronomical. Internal discussions have indicated that the costs associated with this event will make the expenses of the Las Vegas sphere look like chump change by comparison. Building a world-class arena from scratch in a location that was never designed for sports broadcasting presents a logistical challenge that drives the budget to unprecedented levels. Every piece of equipment, lighting, and security must be meticulously planned and installed to meet the standards of both the promotion and the venue. This massive expenditure is a testament to how important this show is for the UFC's brand. By outspending their previous high-tech ventures, the promotion is signaling that the South Lawn event is their new benchmark for excellence. The high cost is attributed to the need for specialized infrastructure that respects the historic nature of the grounds while still providing a modern viewing experience.